Walking up to the high tunnels. I've really not spent much time in here at all this year. I've been very busy at Jenny B's, making sure everybody else has all their garden stuff. With the brick. Here. And we have weeds. Lots of weeds. These two in front are going to get covered and cover cropped, so I'm just letting the weeds go for now. I did manage to cover a few beds up, get some of the weed pressure under control before I plant them. Speaking of, ignore the weeds in between, but I do have tomatoes planted to the end of this row. Every other space on each side is a tomato, the rest is weeds. And we've got some tomatoes in here. These are a determinate variety, so I'm trying to grow them in the bags without any tall support structure. I'll put in a small trellis on each side so that they won't lean. My grapes are doing great. This is my main vine. I get so many grapes off of this small patch right here that I'm able to make gallons and gallons of wine every year. Cut from here to what is actually an empty garden, but it grows poppies every single year, because one year I had poppies in here and they self-seed. So at the end of the season, they dropped a bunch of their seeds right here in place, and they've grown every spring ever since. They're one of the first things that grow, so I usually just let them. They'd be taller and more green if I watered them, but I don't even water them in here. These are my favorite poppy. It's lavender breadseed poppy. A lot of the seeds I'll collect. Got about 15, maybe 20 feet of these poppies growing all by their own. This one's big. And next to a big bush of catnip. I'm going to be planting a lot of tomatoes and a lot of green beans in here this year. More poppies. And the chives. This is the one that I haven't moved yet. It's not supposed to be there. It grew on its own. These ones are supposed to be there. This line is well established. Behind it is a bed that I've had young chives growing in from seed. It looks like they're getting pretty big. I'm going to have to move them soon to their new homes. And this row continues across the greenhouse. It used to be the border of my original garden before the greenhouse was here. It was so well established that I left the border in place and designed the beds around it. It just makes a good divider between the long beds and this little 6-foot section I have on each end that I can separate and do other things with. When growing in greenhouses that have this much space, or gardens in general that have this much space, it can help to break things down into smaller sections, especially on paper and planning early in the season. And the front one, did a video earlier this season that I haven't released yet because I'm still learning how to edit, of me putting in these potatoes. And this is what they look like now. I broad forked. I added some amendments and a little compost on top. And now these are huge. Even starting to flower in fruit. But you don't eat potato fruit, it's very poisonous. Alright. So the potato patch is looking great. This is my first. I usually do 3 or 4 this size. I need to get them in the ground. It's my second patch. It's not doing as well, but that's because of the potatoes that I used. They were left over from last year and it wasn't the best. So they're not doing as well. Those were my good potatoes. These were the not so great starter stock. So if you're doing gardening, and if you're wondering why sometimes your crops don't turn out that great, you could be doing all the right things, and sometimes it's just the plant itself. These potatoes were left over, and if I didn't have all this extra garden space, I wouldn't have even bothered to plant them. In here, we've got the summer squash and the zucchini. I had to protect it from the rodent that likes to get in here. Pretty sure it's the woodchuck that lives under my bridge. We've got some cabbage hiding up here. And my rhubarb, I added these 5 plants last year. They're establishing and doing great. All I've done so far is water them and cut the flowers out. And my asparagus. I haven't harvested this patch this year because I planted them last year, and you're not supposed to harvest them for a few years. Let them grow and let them get bigger. I've got 10 here, and every one of them are growing great. They're even flowering and making these little fruits. I don't know much about asparagus, but that's one of the things I need to research next, because that's super cool what they're doing. And that's it. Really not much going on in here. Not yet. But there will be soon.